Wow. Okay, so here we go. Um, this is a jacked up time. You know, it's just a jacked up time. I didn't even hardly know where to start. I don't hardly know where to start because I've just been standing around going, the fuck, for a couple of days now. However, there's been a wrestling match in my head with what is going on because spiritually I understand, you know, the ascended master in me, or the ascended master that guides me, the intelligence that knows more shit than me, has already told me that this is butthurt for you to work through, Kate. This is for you, you know, that we need to do some stuff, but it's going to piss you off before we do this, before other people do what they do. So I knew, you know, I went hiking today and went to an area that I never go to. I've been there one time and I never had gone back. And that was where I had some very significant things happen when I went there, like unlocked all kinds of ancestral stuff that blew my mind. And that was a couple of years ago. So I went back there. I ended up getting lost, quote unquote, and oh my goodness. But I went hiking today, and I knew when I was on my way over there that you're going to be, you know, working on some things that look like they're deteriorating and blowing up in your face, you know? So try not to get too butthurt about that because you can see it. You can see that it's blowing up in your face. I mean, it's blowing up, period. However, your face just happens to be in the wind with it, that you can see it, and it's not really splashing exactly. However, there's a few little sparks and embers that go, ooh, that annoys the shit out of me. But I knew when I was driving up to this hike that, okay, you know, I got stuff and several different places that I had my little fingers and toes and nose and elbows in, you know, just starting to get janky, people saying stupid stuff. And I had a dude that just, a coworker of mine that, I don't know you like that. I have no idea why you lost your whole mind and like did that. However, what, you know, it was absolutely inappropriate, over the top, and I'm still reeling with, you know, what do I do with that? And so things like that. And then, you know, another place that I work, that I'm there, you know, providing all this information and doing all this stuff and realizing that we're not even, you're not hearing me. You know, why aren't you hearing me? You're asking questions and I've already answered this, or you're presenting, you know, the same question to staff that I've given you, you know, the information about how you can solve this problem. However, I'm not being seen, I'm not being heard, and when I am seen or heard, oh, I'm apparently being seen or heard as somebody who wants some real trash nonsense, and it's not true. I do not, and so there's a reason that it came through. Then what is it? And so I'm on my way to my hike this morning, and like, okay, then we already know, you know, what do you need to do, Kate? You need to make a decision. And so I'm saying to myself, you know, what is it about me? It was turning into whole, you know, self-esteem issue, like a huge one, of what did I do? What did I do wrong? That, you know, why do I keep attracting stuff like this? Like, you know what? You're a Blu-ray. And remember that Blu-rays kind of go into destroy stuff a little bit. And we break stuff down. We help bad systems to, you know, realign themselves if they so desire. If any system that I go into falls apart because there's a truth spoken from me or anybody else that is around me that grows the balls to do so, then that was the system that you're gonna go. I just happen to be the one to, you know, help pull the trigger, but you're gonna go down because truth is what is prevailing, in systems that are all over the world, not just me or anything or those things associated with me, but any system that's standing on lack of principle, lack of integrity, lies, poaching, you know, doing whatever it is that we humans like to do whenever we're not really standing in righteous, honorable positions of authority, and we're making money on the backside of, you know, vulnerable people, etc. I mean, when we're doing things that are not very virtuous and not very filled with integrity, those are the systems that are kind of come down, and they definitely come down around me because I do speak the truth. I'm not going to look at something that I know I've been intrinsically guided there. I'm not going to walk in the door and know that there's a reason I'm here, and I'm not going to say it. And so I haven't had any need to really be up in it recently with these things, but I've known from the beginning in these several different endeavors, like, I'm not really sure why I'm here, why I'm interfacing with these people, and the higher, healing of that is that there's a higher calling for you to be here that's energetic. You're going to do energetic work that you don't even know you're doing. It's behind the scenes. You're, doing your own thing. Just be out here in 3D, presenting an example of someone who's got integrity and, saying the right thing, doing the right thing based on what I know to be true, based on what I know is the Blu-ray healer in me, is show up being that and speaking truth with as much kindness and concern, compassion, acceptance, allowance, etc. as you possibly can. However, don't hold back from speaking the truth. You don't have to be a whole sledgehammer with it. However, you certainly can't be a little bunny whenever we have bunny burners out here. We have bunny killers and bunny murderers out here. So we can't afford to have, sitting back in the grass just, waiting for things to pass on by and be smooth and sweet. We're not on that anymore. Not now. Not in my life and not in the places where I've been. And so, I've opened my mouth and I've said a few things and tried to make did make some major changes, made some major, suggestions for this is why I'm here. I know that I have a mission here, and if you want my help, you want my assistance, then, cool. I'm willing to do that. And I've spoken those words out loud, less intensely and less, verbiage around them as I have energetically, that I know I'm here to help you, break down this terrible communication system you have, or management style you have, or money, issues that you have. I'm here to help do that, to break that down, because I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. And I see a lot of, just dumb stuff that's going on here that's not cool, and it's pretty simple to fix. However, we have to move through ego. We have to move through those identifications of, well, I'm in charge. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? We have to move through all of those things, and I have to move through them as well in me. It's just that I'm probably going to be willing to not really identify with that identity of I'm in charge, I'm going to do this. The minute that I start feeling that resistance, generally I pull back. In these places I was a little bit surprised, because the answer I got was stand by, stand by, stand by. When I said, why the F am I here? Because these people don't want me here. They're ignoring me. They're, kind of talking shit about me. They're saying, rude stuff. They're getting too comfortable. And I can't say that I really dig that. It's not my style to, anymore, be the doormat for somebody in their ego, whatever the hell it is, Back in the day, I would just let people say whatever they wanted to say and go, yeah, that's some ignorant stuff right there. However, that's about them. I don't do that too much anymore, like not at all. And I was quite surprised that here I am allowing that to happen, because I don't want to have to get into it with people. However, I've discovered, a little late to the game as it feels like, however, letting people ride in that place of just absolute disregard and disrespect, that's not always good. Sometimes it's really great. Think I'm an idiot? Cool, that works to my benefit. That you just think I'm slam stupid, it's fine. It works to my benefit. You don't bother me. I just do my work, put my head down, and I move on whenever I'm done here. However, when it turns into something where we're at a crucial point here, we're at a crossing road, the crossroads, pardon me. We're at the crossroads. And this is where the rubber hits the road, and this is where people get to make a decision, where I get to make a decision of, are you going to step up and honor the fact that I've been moving in this direction of helping you? You're asking for help, you're saying you want help, and I'm giving it to you, and yet we're still having disrespect issues, we're still having, problems with communication, etc., and just poor humaning skills. When we're at that, the crossroads isn't just about other people. The crossroads is, are you going to tolerate this bullshit some more, Kate? Or are you going to put your foot right up in it and say, I can't wait, I'm out? And so that happened in multiple fronts. It didn't happen by surprise. It didn't happen randomly. And it isn't by some, coinky-dink of the universe. It's absolutely synchronicity with all of the energies that are flying around the new moon yesterday, and all of the planetary alignments. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening. And so, all right, this is a little bit strange. This is a little bit unusual. Usually I just kind of go with stuff and let people, they walk themselves into my life, and they walk themselves right the hell back out of my life, because when it gets to a certain cutoff, I just go, okay. And I say something very minimally, and it usually sets them off and they just walk themselves out the door because they don't want to be bothered with, you know, somebody sticking up for themselves. However, this has been like right there toe to toe a little bit for several months now. Like, what is your problem? You're giving a little bit, you know, and here's a little breadcrumb. Then I kept thinking, am I hearing you correctly? Because I don't do that breadcrumb bullshit anymore. When people are handing me this stuff, I usually just walk out the door and say, all right, you know, go do you, boo, and I'm going to go do me without you. You know, that's just the way that is, and without any real confrontation or anything else. And yet it's lagged on and dragged on with different people in this organization in several different places where, you know, here's your opportunity to step it up, you know, and decide you want to work as a team and decide that you want to get the mission objective complete, the one that you've said you want to do. It's not my mission, it's yours, you know, and I'm here vicariously working with you, and I've got no real position of authority. However, if you ask me for help, whether you give me a title or not, I have my own damn title. I know what I am spiritually, and I know what I can bring to anywhere that I'm standing. And that's not to act in some egoic place for me. That's just to say I know what I'm capable of doing and bringing some clarity. I've studied a lot of human skills, and I'm actually very gifted as far as my energy goes, and how to work that, and how to use that, and how to be a soft healer, and also how to be a bit of a ruthless healer too. And I prefer to stay out of the ruthless department, because usually when I've been able to get in with people and just kind of talk to them and really softly edge them around with, you know, here's some real edgy stuff here, you might want to soften that out a bit, and let's try this, let's try that. And this has just been a battle where today I finally said, when I was on my way to my hike, I finally said, you know what, fuck this, I'm done with this. To close it out, I deserve better than to continue laboring on with people at a crossroad. If it was a crossroad, then you didn't decide. We just kept coming back, and I'm going to sit around and wait for you to ask me to breadcrumb me back to the crossroad one more time. Nope. Energetically, we're right here at the new moon, and we're right here in all the other planetary alignments, whatever they are. Then the planetary alignment within me, whether I have permission from anybody else except me is all I need. That the crossroad is here. If this is the last time I'm doing this, I'm going to have this conversation energetically, and this is going to shift and move this shit away from me, move this lack of clarity away from me, move this hairy, you know, fuzzy delusion and all of this other stuff away from me, the confusion, the butthurt, the whining, the screaming, the carrying on, the absolutely vacant eyeballs going, huh? Or the conversation where someone is speaking to me like I'm 3 years old. Excuse me? No, that's not what this is. However, you know, thank you for letting me know that I'm absolutely going to go, and that my work here is done. If this is where we are, that's who you are, and you're talking to me this way, then that power dynamic we have, I'm going away, because you apparently are not going to take this crossroads moment and take whatever expertise I may have out here in 3D world, nor even acknowledge me as a human being, much less anything I might be bringing energetically. Then it's time for me to go, bro. It was just a little bit disconcerting to me that I didn't realize until I was driving to my hike this morning that that's what this is. This is breadcrumbing and coming back to the crossroads. Well, wait, hold on. Let me go get this. Let me go do that. Well, hold on a second. I'm scared. I'm angry. I'm sad. I have trauma. Whatever it was, all of this stuff that I was hearing in the 3D, or excuse me, in the 5D, in that astral space, I understand that, man. We all operate on some level of, you know, fuckery. It's what we do here on the planet. We all operate in some area of ignorance within us. We all operate with some level of unawareness, being unaware and ignorant. We all have places of trauma. We all have places of drama. We all have places of bullshit. It isn't that that's the problem. It's that when someone is throwing a life ring in and you want to snatch that person in or ask them to come, your life ring isn't enough. I want you to come and get me, because it would make me feel more comfortable. I'd feel safer if I knew that you were coming in, because what if you throw me the ring and then you don't get me, or you can't, or blah, 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 a whole list of things. And so that was the awareness that I have, is let it go, that the crossroads is done. The crossroads is right here, that this is the last of the crossroad experience, that I want to put it out to this place, this place, this place, this place, and all these individual people, that our relationship, wherever I know you, whatever way I know you, and whatever experience we've had up to this point, thank you very much for shoving me into understanding that I deserve to be somewhere where people do not buck me as far as being a whole human, that if I have to work hard for somebody to respect me as a human being, I'm standing in a very dumb yard that I don't belong in, because that's a baseline thing that I'll tolerate stuff for a little while because I know I have work to do and put my head down and all that stuff. However, at this point, like, no, we were at a critical juncture and we got away with that for a couple of weeks of Kate being sloppy and not really understanding that, oh, all of the confusion and all of the gray and all of the hairy and all of that other gooey stuff, get it the hell out of the way. We don't have time for that. So calling upon that today on the way to my hike and seeing where I was and feeling all of these energies shifting and knowing what was riding with me in my car and in that experience in the 5D, it was very clear that nope, I want all of the illusion, the delusion, and the bullshit to be cleared out for me instantly. Allow people to choose. I'm willing to do whatever it is that I need to do, whatever it is that I have agreed to do before I got here. I'm willing to surrender this to my higher power and the highest timeline and to the ascended masters, whomever it is. Me, the people who, you know, the energies that guide me, I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to give this up, this up, this up, this up, this up, because we don't really have that anyway. We have me there trying to work for a potential that isn't going to work out, then I'm wasting my time anyway. And I don't have to be angry about it. The reason I'm angry is because I'm misunderstanding that I'm getting stalled and I'm getting pushback on people that really don't want to make a change, which they're not supposed to, they're not required to, they don't have to just because I say. It's that if we've come together, we have a reason why. And me, my learning was to learn when to say, okay, I'm out, I don't do this anymore. And theirs was whatever it was. So Crossroads here, Crossroads gone. And on my way home, I got a text message from someone that had a completely off-the-wall message for me that let me know that, oh, I see. So the last transmission that I gave in one of those areas, actually two, but the one most significant on my way home was, I see how you decided. I thought for sure that I knew in that moment. It seemed to me that I was looking down an energetic field in a timeline that was pretty lit up, and it was lit up without me. So that was your choice letting me know. However, I needed 3D to show up and let me know for realsy out here in 3D real D reality, how did they decide? And on my way home, oh, I see, that's not even remotely close to the last transmission that I left there with that and what my request was on that. It was completely bungled, and boggling to hear the message or to see the message from the person who has nothing to do with this at all. He was an absolute innocent person that had nothing to do with it. He was just simply conveying a message, and that message was very clear to me that we didn't hear you, we didn't care, we don't want you, we don't whatever. I mean, it was so clear that it gut punched me hard for a few seconds of, I can't believe that's happening, that's not fair. Well, what did you ask for, Kate? You asked for clarity. You asked for this crossroad to be done and the bullshit to be brought into the light and to be brought into awareness of what is going on here. What is it that I need to do? Instead of waiting for other people on the crossroads to decide what they're going to do, your crossroad just became you, boo. What are you going to do? And it's not about allowing anybody else to delay what my decisions are. It's not about letting anybody else's fear or their lack of whatever they think they need or want or whatever, not letting that story or that process for anyone else delay me, stop me, or confuse me or delude me in any way about the decision I need to make about myself. I always assumed that I was standing at a crossroads and that we were all handheld, you know, standing at the crossroad together. Nope, we're not. Some people are going to be standing at their crossroad again and again and again, because crossroads are nothing more than deciding, am I going to take the higher timeline? Am I going to move in the higher vibration that I can, or am I going to stay stuck in dodo land? What am I doing here? And I was stuck in my own dodo land, going back and forth here, going round and around and around, that, oh, I see, yeah, I'm calling the code, this is a DOA and I got to go away, that the best thing that I can do for me is to look at this and say the crossroad is here because I'm calling it. I'm saying I need to make a decision, and I'm not leaving it in the hands of anyone else anymore ever again in this particular venue. If people want to rise up and meet me on the next floor, then fine, we'll have work to do. However, it broke down on my way home. It broke down in several different areas, and I felt that sense of, oh, I see, that's how we chose. And I was disappointed, sad, hurt, etc. for a second. However, my team very gently and very insistently reminded me that, Kate, that's what you asked for. So if you're upset and you're sad, it's about your expectation, your dream, and your desire, what you wanted from that, what you thought from that, what you expected from that, which is fine. However, grieve what really is to be grieved, which is not that you are a bad person, that you're awful, that what you have isn't worthy, blah, 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 all that. It's that the gifts that you have were denied. They said, no thanks, we don't want that, for whatever reason. And for as long as I would sit around believing that my gifts are unworthy, then I'm going to let that shit wrap me up all day long and keep trying to go back to a crossroad and say, oh, you want my Girl Scout cookies now? Do you want them now? You want them now? And that's not how we do that. That's not how we alchemize. It's not how we deal with rejection and, assuming that it is a form of protection. It really is. If we consider that, we're going to take sovereignty and agency over our own mind, then I'm going to assume every single time, or as soon as I'm reminded, especially that, look, you asked for clarity, you have it. Now, what's the clarity beyond this is it hurts to have people that you thought you understood what was going on completely choose differently. However, they chose energetically, and they've been doing the same thing out here in 3D kind of the whole time. However, the choice has been made, and it's just very clear now because all of the fuzz and the molasses and the gook and all of that is gone now. So which would you rather have? The mystery that was not really mysterious from 6 hours prior, or the clarity of it's been chosen, people chose what they wanted, and you're out. You're not going to get what you want from that, and you need to be out, because they would be happy to continue using that situation for what it is. However, you choose not to do that. So take agency and license over what it is that you want to do, and crossroads you, baby, and stop giving people the opportunity to make a choice about you. So that's enough of that. It's time to eat, and man, oh man, it's just been a wild day, and the energies are insane and crazy, and yet I feel really good about them. It's just one part of me is just feeling that empowered state of being of, yeah, like I'm really on fire, I'm good, I'm activated, and I'm ready to go. I'm a starseed, light worker, badass, X-Man, blah, 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 blah. And the other part is like, but I got my feelings hurt. That's okay. There's no such thing truly as feelings being hurt once we process what is it that we're missing there. And it's that feeling of, well, acceptance and my gifts, and they were not being accepted or acknowledged anyway. And that's the hurt, is that we've known this for a while, and it's time to rebirth and go find a place. The woods was a perfect place because the trees, the rocks, everything that was there was speaking to me, singing to me, and really nourishing me. And yeah, it's a little weird to think that I'm going to get a hug from the woods and the trees and stuff. However, who else was going to be doing that? And it gave me an opportunity to hand my heart over and my grief and my sadness to nature and organically work within my own energy source and stop trying to rely on people that do not want to give that to me, that cannot give that to me, that are not giving that to me for whatever reason that they're not. And until I do find the actual 3D bodies, I'm more nourished in the woods, connecting with nature, connecting with myself, connecting with my dog, finding 5 deer standing in the yard in front of my apartment building, which is super weird. I've never seen that before, but making those kinds of connections and those associations, and knowing that that will have to be the sustenance that is for me, because 3D will not do that. And I can be continually butthurt about putting it out there, the expectation, well, that they should be. No, they shouldn't. That's not fair. You don't want anybody making any expectation of you and any judgment or snarky weird stuff about you. Then we can't really do that either. So it's better to take my hugs from the woods and the trees and the deer that were standing in my front lawn, and just know that 3D is going through a lot of rapid changes, because 5D is coming in hard and fast, and it's bringing in a new reality, and it's making people feel very strange and very weird, and pushing them to go to places where they may or may not want to go. And especially if we're, indigo, Blu-rays, we're the people that are going to come in and be pressing a little bit hard in those places, and can't expect to be all that and still also not understand that it's going to cause problems in here without having to go back to those little identities in me that wanted acceptance and allowance and blah, 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 blah. Cool. Well, say thank you. Where do we send the thank you note in the fruit basket for all of these people that have brought up those places, that those places might have been gone, might have been in hiding and gone away from my awareness for another month, 2 months, 3 years, whatever it is, without having that prod. That Blu-ray prod came back to me of, find out what is inside yourself, Kate, that would allow that to really land anywhere and be hurtful to you. That's some identity inside of you that didn't get their need met already, because these people, excuse me, you don't even know them, and they don't really know you. This is learning, and the crossroad is through. So on that, time to go eat.